the sails of the sea are over the wild briny pool. For the ocean and deep sails upon high is just like a bird on the wing. And when the shadows of evening grow nigh, he'll sail to thy window and sing. Come take a trip in my airship. Come take a sail on the storm. Come have a ride around Venus. Come have a spin around Mars. No one to watch while we're busy. No one to see while we school. Come take a trip in my airship and we'll visit the man in the moon. Will the audience please join me and whistle in the chorus?
Hello and welcome to the Airship 27 podcast, number 73. I'm Chief Engineer Rob Davis, virtually alongside my co-host, Captain Ron Fortier.
Howdy, loyal airmen, and hey, welcome again to, as Rob said, episode 73, rolling right along here, okay? And as we always do with these monthly podcasts, we will be giving you out of the generosity of our overflowing hearts two amazing jokes. And I have the fun of kicking us off.
Here we
okay.
go.
All right. This is a story. Okay. So, divorce court. The attractive blonde comes in, sits down in the chair, and the judge is sitting there in his robes, and he looks at her, right? He says, "Madam," he said, "what are the grounds for your divorce?" "Oh," she replied, "well, about 4 acres with a nice little home in the middle of the property and a stream running through it." Judge looks at it and goes, No, it's not what I was referring to. He says, I want to know the foundation of this case." "Oh, that's easy," she says. "It's made out of concrete, bricks, and mortar." No. He said, "What are your relations like?" "Well, I have an aunt and uncle who still live in town, and my husband's parents are here." "Madam, do you have a grudge?" No, but we have a 2-car garage, a carport, but we only use one side." Well, the judge is really starting to get frustrated right now. He goes, "Is there any cases of infidelity?" "Well, yeah, both my son and my daughter have a stereo set, though we don't like music that much." "Madam, does your husband ever beat you up?" "Actually, yes, twice a week. He gets up before I do." Lady, why do you want a divorce?" "Oh, Your Honor, I don't want a divorce. It's my husband who wants a divorce. He says we can't communicate."
No doubt. I like this one. It's funny throughout. It just keeps building.
It reminded me of those old classic, comedy shorts you used to see on TVs, in the movie theaters or whatever, Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, all that kind of stuff.
Who's on
Okay.
first? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly that kind of thing. And when I found it on YouTube, there's a whole gaggle of long story type jokes. And the minute I saw this one, I said, "Oh yeah, this is a classic." Okay.
Well,
I mean,
mercifully, mine's a little shorter this time, but it's still pretty good.
Okay.
Oh man.
Oh God.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, look. Let's talk about some of the things that have been going on lately in the world of new pulp. I'll let you take the first agenda.
Okay. Well, voting is underway for the Pulp Factory Awards. With the nomination process complete, the awards committee of Van Allen Plexico, Gordon Domowski, and Frank Adams Jr. finalized the official ballot and posted it to a Google page. The two of us did up a special short video announcing the creators' names for each of the 5 categories, and you can find that elsewhere on our YouTube channel.
Right, and I'm very happy to say that as of recently, we've had well over 100 views of that
Last time
little
I looked, it
announcement.
was in the upper 90s, so it's good to see that it's still climbing. That's
Right,
excellent.
which means that the word is spreading out, which is obviously the purpose of doing the video, to spreading the word online and to getting as many votes as we could for those nominations. Okay. Uh, Again, at the same time, I want to thank Gordon and Van and Fred this time for helping out. Gordon's going to be leaving the committee after this year's awards, although he's volunteered to stay for any transition or to help. But we're also adding Jonathan Sweet as an official member of the committee. So, and Van, again, has said he'd stay on a little while longer. We really appreciate everybody's help with this. And if there are any other members of the Pulp Factory group who would like to get involved, it's a once a year time. It's basically tabulating the nomination votes to make sure that we get them right and that we put out an accurate final ballot. So if you're all interested, give Rob a holler or give me a holler. I'm more than happy to have you join us. And it really is a lot of fun, and it's most gratifying when the time comes to announce those awards and hand them out.
Yep.
All right.
It is.
Yeah, and hey, if possible, we'll definitely be announcing it on a future episode of the podcast once
Right.
they have been announced. And again, this year, as Rob will attest, we can't give these out at Windy City because Windy City is at the end of the year. We don't want to make our winners wait that long. But Radio Archives and Tom Brown have been more than magnanimous in not only supporting and sponsoring the awards, but also mailing them out to the recipients. So
Yes.
people don't have to
Excellent.
wait
Yep.
that long to get their awards. All right. Hey, look, we had a very, very small release after last month. I'll let Rob take that, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's
Okay.
on the horizon.
Yeah. Released since our last show is, and he loves it when I have to pronounce this, the incunabulum of Sherlock Holmes.
I wish we could put that to a melody, it's something like,
Incunabulum of Sherlock Holmes.
Is that plural or singular? Incunabuli is plural. Incunabulum.
I guess it would be. All right.
Ian Watson, you
I don't know where I'd never heard that word before, but he kind of explains it in the preface to the book. It's not a perfect. Incunabulum actually refers to. I've looked this up to make sure. Refers to books published in like the 1500s, I think. A collection of books.
Okay.
The footnote is in the book, so and you can look up the word as well, but I believe it refers to book collections published in the 1500s. So anyway, this is a collection of 6 Holmes and Watson stories by Ian Watson, I.A. Watson. These are stories, for whatever reason, were not acceptable to be featured in our Consulting Detective series, so we were thrilled to produce this special edition. Yours truly did the interior illustrations, and once again did them in pencil only with the shading. I also did the cover of this one. It was constructed with the feature, and it features the late actor Jeremy Brett as Holmes and Edward Hardwicke as Dr. Watson. It's based on a photograph from that was from the series itself that Jeremy Brett did for BBC way back when.
Right, which I know is your favorite Sherlock Holmes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, and many of our listeners, for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The sad thing about that situation, though, is that Hardwicke, and I recall this was actually the second Watson of that series, because the actor who played him when the series first premiered on BBC only did it for maybe a season, maybe, I don't know if he even did 2, but he sadly passed away. He wasn't very an old gentleman, as I recall, probably even younger than Hardwicke. And Hardwicke was, a replacement who stepped in to keep the show going, and then, did most of the roles and most of the episodes they filmed with Brett, and is best known for him. But if you ever see some of those earlier episodes from season 1, you'll see this other very accomplished British actor.
I liked both actors in the part. They both brought out different aspects of Watson himself. The first one looked like a young, looked and felt like a younger Watson, and the second fellow, Hardwicke, seemed like a more seasoned Watson.
Good word.
later
Yeah.
in his years. But
Right.
both of them were great actors and really brought new life to Watson, just like Brett did to Holmes. It
Oh,
was unlike the buffoon that was played with Basil Rathbone. This guy actually was pretty smart.
yeah.
It's like Watson is in the books.
Right,
But
exactly. And
yeah,
it amazes me. I think because, we publish Consulting Detective, and we're fastly approaching volume 20 of that series. I mean, Ian likes to tell us we've published more Sherlock Holmes stories than Doyle did now.
yes, we have more
And
words.
but but the formula is always the two of them, and that's how it works. Because if you've just simply got Holmes, then you've got basically detective stories. He could be a private detective in any era, all right. But the creation of Watson as that representation of the reader, pulling us into the story, and that's
Yep.
who we become. We see the story through Watson's eyes, was sheer genius on Doyle's part. And I believe one of the reasons that it became so successful and still today enamors readers all over the world. All right. It's that chemistry between Holmes and his dear friend, Dr.
Yep.
Watson. Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. Hey,
Especially
look.
since Holmes is such an unlikable guy. You have to. Watson sure put up with a lot of
To put it mildly, Yes, he did. All right. Hey, so now we're like I said, we got one out since our last episode. It isn't because we haven't been busy. Things are coming our way. So the next agenda is obviously what's coming next. And what we're going to be reading here may even be out by the time this particular podcast wins its way to the internet, if Rob can get it up tonight, because the next thing coming down the queue is The Masked Rider, Tales of the Wild West, Volume 3.
Yep.
And it has short stories by Paul Finley and Thomas McNulty, with a novella by Gordon Demowski. Artist Jason Wren did the interior illustrations and wrapped those up nicely. And Shane Evans of Australia had provided us a cover for a while back. So it was a basic case of waiting to get the illustrations in from Jason. That happened last week. And then it was a case of, again, assembling the book and getting out to the proofreader, who in this case was Michael Housel, who did a really great job turning
Yep.
it around for us. And
Yeah.
so within the last 24 hours, Rob has gotten in the stories back from the actual writers.
Right.
So now it's basically a case of Rob finding a few hours in his day to put this together for Amazon and to get it up at Amazon. So whether that happens today or tomorrow, I'm pretty sure before the week
Probably
is out.
tomorrow. We're recording on the 23rd, Tuesday the 23rd, and it'll probably go up on Amazon the 24th. That's tomorrow, and then actually be available with any luck on the 25th. So that's the plan. That's the plan.
All right. So go ahead and read the next one that's
Okay.
on this list.
Okay. In the queue, and who knows when it's going to come to fruition, is The Silver Pentacle, Book 1. It's the start of a new fantasy series by Nancy Hansen. Artist Guy Davis has only a few interior illustrations left, and he will also be doing the cover for it as well.
Right. Now, what happened with Guy recently just came back from vacation in Texas. He was in Texas with his family on a family vacation for a couple of weeks, and then they got caught in that snow.
I was going to say, was he caught in the snow?
Bad weather that
man.
blanketed most of America in the last couple of weeks, and they were a part of that. So it basically delayed their coming back home by a half a week. They're back in Colorado now, as I know. And so I'm sure that once Guy's back in the office, he'll get back to sitting down with this. Now, the next story we're talking about, and again, this is how fast these things can turn around. Rob has mentioned this before. Killing Shadows by Teal James Glenn. Now, this is the first in the series featuring an independent, he's a bodyguard investigator named John Shadow. And it's pretty packed with a lot of fast-moving martial arts action. Artist Ted Lemon, this is his first ever work for us, just recently finished the interior illustrations last night, even as we're talking.
Yep.
And so he got those in. Rob was able to put a PDF of the book together, and Rob is working on the cover, which I've seen bits of so far and
Yep.
knocked me out of my chair, because we're going to pretty much, again, try to veer off from our typical, what people expect
Yeah.
from the garish pulp stuff. It's a little more sophisticated thriller type imagery that Rob employed when we did Executive Action
Right.
Gambit by Wayne Carey. So this thing is called Killing Shadows, and it's the first in a series of John Shadow's books. To that end, I suggested to Rob we might go for a little James Bond vibe or whatever. And
Yep.
I don't know where you found that image, but it was perfect.
Well, your description of the character made me look for a certain type, and I found an actor, and I went, "Oh, that actor is perfect." And then I went through his online images and found a really nice one, and then I took it into Photoshop and I played with it a little bit. There's some facial hair that this guy has that the character online that the actual actor does not now have. He's actually had facial hair like that at times during his career, but so I went in and fixed that, and so I've got that part of it's done. The rest of it is Ron has this idea for a special collage of things to go on this cover, and I've still got to find or create the elements to make that look right.
Right.
I
Well,
played with
you
it
know,
for a couple
whenever I have an idea
where I
for
wanted
how
to
we
be.
should go in an imagery of the series, both Rob and I do this. We scour the internet. We look for images. Pinterest is one of the biggest
Yep.
ones for folder sites. So I'd gone there about a week ago and basically started looking at actual James Bond paperback covers. And then you start seeing the various approaches different publishers take and how they handle this. And so there were iconic elements that I shared with Rob and said, well, however you want to do this, we should have this, we should have that, or this. And then that sets the template, which Rob, I think, has put together really beautifully. It's a great template. And what the collage he's talking about now is going to be the B part of the cover, which will change from cover to cover.
Right.
More indicative of what's actually happening in the story. I sent the contracts out earlier this afternoon, which I do when a book's getting ready to come out, to both the author and the artist. Teal got back to me within 5 minutes, and wow, he's excited. He's very anxious.
Yeah, he
and
sent me an email too.
He's a big fan of your work and your design work, and he's most anxious to see, what you've cooked up for this particular first appearance of John Shadow. We hope you fans are really going to get a kick out of this. All right, so those are two. Like I said, as far as Masked Rider should be out by this week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Killing Shadows maybe the week after. We may be getting into April with a little, hit the ground running kind of vibe. All right.
And this is the
Now,
way it goes. Every year it's like this. We have a slow month, maybe two, and then bang, 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 bang. They'll just start coming in like crazy. In fact, there's one in the queue that you didn't list here that we'll get to after we get to the others. But
okay, please, by all means, bring it up. One of the I did want to talk about this because this one is something that we have been toying with for almost 2 years now, going on 2 years, and that's The Adventures of Doc Atlas.
Right.
Created by writers Michael Black and Ray Lovato. This is their take on the classic pulp adventure heroes a la Doc Savage. Whereas Doc Savage adventures took place after World War I, Doc Savage's took place after World War I. Michael and Ray decided to up their character time-wise. So Doc Atlas' adventures, he's a veteran of World War II. So his adventures take place after that war. And unlike Savage, who had 5 aides, we trimmed it down a little bit, and Doc Atlas has 2. All right, Asante and Mad Murdoch or something. All right, right. Really, really fun characters, a lot of fun, and this beautiful female adventuress, if you will, who has a crush on Duck, and that's the team. All right. Now, they've been writing these stories for many years, and they've appeared in all kinds of different publications. I think, Rob, one of the first pulp Windy Cities we ever attended way back at the
Yep.
start of Airship 27. Michael was there selling some
so.
Doc Atlas.
I believe he
stories
was,
and
yeah.
whatever. So the idea was, I was aware of the fact that they had developed a fandom, but because of their own busy lives and whatnot, the stories that come out sporadically, and some they publish, some other people publish, and whatever. And so 2 years ago, I approached both of them with the thought of, hey, why don't we bring Doc Atlas to Airship 27? Let's satisfy your fans with the idea. Let's go back and reprint the earlier stories, which is how we're going to start this, and we'll fill volumes with those. At the same time, Ray and Mike can start working out plots for new Doc Atlas adventures. And hopefully, once we oil and pump the prime the pump,
Prime the pump, yeah.
right, we can maybe have a new Doc Atlas book once a year coming out. That will be new adventures. Okay, so both of them were only too happy to get aboard with this and sign on, which then made me stop and think again, this whole idea of the uniformity of a series and how we present it art-wise, how we design the books, etc. With that in mind, it was a case of, all right, so we need to find an artist who'd be willing to commit and be with us every year once we put, if we have a new Doc Atlas, this is our go-to guy. And wouldn't you know, serendipity, right? Pulp Factory Award winning illustrator, none less than Ed Cato, basically pops up an email and goes, this one he was talking about the Musketeer book and how much fun he had doing that and how he wants to do the next one. But somewheres in that letter, he said, I'd really like a shot at doing the covers in the future. And I stopped and thought, and I went, you know what? And so I wrote Ed a long letter explaining what I just, recounted as far as Doc Atlas is concerned. I said, Ed, I'm looking for a go-to guy. I said, and what I offered him was simply that. If he wanted to take on Doc Atlas, he would not only do the interior illustrations, but he'd also be the cover artist for the entire series moving forward. Well, he didn't waste any time, saying yes, and has already done a really beautiful team sketch of the principal players in Doc Atlas. And both Rob and I loved it so much. He's having it colored for us. The second it is colored, we're going to do a little press release and get that all over Facebook and the internet, announcing Ed's participation with the series and the fact that new Doc Atlas adventures are now on their way from Airship 27 Productions. There you go.
Yeah, killed two birds with one stone. Made Ed happy and made us happy and made actually three birds with one stone. Michael and Ray got made happy by all this as well, and the fans. So
yeah,
should be fun. One that's not on your list that is on my drawing board is Fred Adams Jr.'s novel.
Oh, yes.
You didn't include that, but it's
right.
Fangs of the Sea. It's a pirates and vampires story. And as usual, Fred has knocked it out of the park. He's written one heck of a book. I've read through the book. I've done the thumbnails. I'm up to, I believe it's illustration 7. Let me see here. Yeah, I finished up number 6. I should be, as soon as I can get back to the drawing board, I've got a bunch of stuff on my computer board at the moment to try and get out the door. But as soon as I get, so that 7, 8, 9, that's a novel. So there'll be 9 illustrations. So I've only got to knock out a couple more, 2 or 3 more. So that one is in the queue as well. So it'll be a race to see which one gets out the door first.
Well, this one is going to, I know you're going to finish the illustrations long before we have a cover, because, and that's one of those situations where, trust me, loyal airmen, you are going to be so happy to wait for this cover, because the more I kept thinking about it, once Rob signed on, Rob started doing the illustrations and sending them to me. And again, they're absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And again, what's more pulpish? Vampire pirates. Come on, people. This screams pulp, right? So, again, editor's hat on. I'm going, okay, so who do we get to do the cover that is going to be phenomenal? It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be exciting. And of course, my mind went to one particular gentleman who had just recently done a pirate cover for us.
Right.
Not his latest, but the one before that. And I'm, of course, referring to, that amazing artist, Adam Shaw. And so I said, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to try, right? People, and the bottom line is they can say, no, thanks, I've done the pirate things, or I'm busy, whatever. And so I wrote Adam, and I said, Adam, and then I prefaced it, and I said, we realize, you like to do different things. All artists do. You like to stretch your muscles and whatever. So I'm coming to you asking for another pirate cover. But these are vampire pirates. Hoping I'm going to strike that pulp, spirit of Adams. And I did. Adams got back to me and went, ooh. And he went, all right. He goes, but you got to give me a deadline, Ron. He said, I've got so many things, but he says that concept. He said, he wasn't shaking that concept. And that's how we deal with creators. You get an artist who hasn't done something, and fire his imagination or her imagination.
Yeah.
So that fired Adam's imagination. I believe he said not until maybe the end of April for him to have the cover done. So basically, we're going to have that situation where Rob will have finished the illustrations. We will assemble the book and basically have it proofread, have Fred look at it one last time, and then have it just waiting. And when Adam's cover, I told him, I say, look, end of April is fine. If you could turn it in even earlier, even better. But hey, we're saying thank you. God bless. We really appreciate it. So, fans, you're going to be getting a great book with a knockout cover, with a cover that's going to blow people away. I sometimes go giddy trying to figure out what Adam's going to end up giving us as a pirate vampire. All right. I mean, I envision things like the seas running red with blood, and some big, frigate in the storm.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, we send him stuff, and I'm thinking we sent him one cover idea a while back for Ravenwood. Yeah. And he took what I had kind of done as a collage of some photos and just took it to the next level. So he just blows me away.
Yeah,
he does.
And incidentally, that Ravenwood cover he did is one of the nominees for this year's Pulp Factory Award. Justifiably
it's
so.
A gorgeous cover.
Yeah, Adam never ever produces anything less than beautiful work. So we're thrilled and very happy that he's going to be doing this for us. So stay tuned. Just a handful of things that are coming your way. As ever, you're going to have a lot more. I'm right now, Rob, in the process of editing another Sherlock Holmes anthology, volume 19. All right, which contains stories by Ray Lovato, Jonathan Casey, and another Ian Watson story.
As always, yeah.
And of course, Watson's comes with so much history. I was totally unfamiliar with British history about pre-Olympic games in England. All right, it was called the Shropshire Olympiads. The Shropshire Olympiads. And of course, he's going to put Holmes and Watson smack dab in the middle of that. So something else for you fans to look forward to maybe by the end of the year. We'll see.
It's something to research and draw. So, which is part of the fun I have with that book is be researching, hansom cabs and he comes up with different locales that I have to kind of look up. Like the Incunabulum has a couple of instances like that where I had to do some research on what this place looked like, where Watson and this woman were, and finding something to throw in there that gives it some grounding in reality. So and they're much more interesting, I think, that way. And doing a little research is always kind of fun.
Oh yeah. What else? I recently, because I just did. Last week, Barbara Duran sent us another martial arts Chinese-inspired adventure with her character from the Wu Dang series.
Right.
This will be volume 3. Rob and I are also expecting to get some more art from Gary Cotto for Pulp Mythology volume 2, which I am going to be looking for. I didn't get my copies today. I'm kind of hoping by tomorrow it'll show up.
Okay. Is that the package he sent to me? Because it's sitting in the chair in the studio. I
That's
haven't
the
had
package he sent
I've
to
been
you.
so busy I haven't had a chance to even open up the package yet.
So
So
here's a hint for that, because we'll be talking about that in the months ahead, if not sooner. Pulp Mythology 2 will features another Hercules story. It
cool.
features, and that was by Samantha Lienhardt. We have a Baba Yaga Russian mythology story from Michael Panush. And then half the book is a new novella featuring Pecos Bill from Mel Odom.
Well,
Oh,
that's
so
that's mythology. That's American mythology.
Oh, these
Yeah.
stories are so much fun, Rob. I guarantee you, when you see them, you're gonna flip. This is and I knew Gary was the guy to bring the illustrations to life. So I'm kind of really anxious to see them when they get here. I have an artist in mind. I'm not going to give that away just yet, but I have an artist in mind
Okay.
to bring this all together. So again, as yet another package that's coming together as we speak. And so, okay, that's pretty much what we have for this month. Anything else you want to share with the loyal airmen?
Well,
Go to it. Go
right
to it.
now, for Silverline Comics, we've got a Kickstarter going on for Twilight Grim #2, and it's paired with, and I'm blanking on the name of the other series. I apologize to Aaron Humphreys that
Is
I
it
forgot the
Fire
name.
Rush?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. You've been paying attention. Thank you. But yeah, that's because they've got so many books coming out from Silverline that he wrote 2 books together, and these are both second issues. So, but you can also, when you donate to this, you can also pick other things. Now, if you've missed issue 1, you can add that on. There's original art you can add on. There's commissions from me and Aaron Humphreys for this as well, and that ends on the 28th, I believe. So there's like 4 or 5 days left from when we're recording this right now. That will still be available. So if it's beyond that point, sorry folks, you missed out. But you should be able to order them from Indie Planet after that's all over with. But you won't have access to the extra stuff, the add-ons. But
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
that's what's going on right now.
Please tell them one of the really great rewards add-ons. It's from you and R.A. Jones.
Oh, well, this kind of ties in. Yes, R.A.'s wrote a novel for us called
The Road Twice Traveled.
I'm having brain cramps today.
Listen, loyal airman, if
Yeah.
he's owed. Rob had one rough weekend traveling,
Yeah.
and he's totally owed. And yesterday, between us, but I had my ups and downs days, and Rob pulled me that through. So that's what buddies do. So yeah, The Road Twice Travel. We published it at Airship 27 last year, and now it becomes an award, right?
Right. Well, it's they call, I forget exactly what they call them, but once you reach your goal, then you have a push goal. You have the next goal, and this is going to be for those folks who want to add this to give us a little bit more money to publish our book with, and this will be a reward for that. And everyone that does this will get a PDF copy of that book by R.A. Jones, illustrated by yours truly. I figured that because Roland asked me, well, what have you got that RA's done as a novel that might work for one of these push goals? And I said, well, this one I illustrated it and RA wrote it, so this would be a good one. It was a tie with either that or the Alice in Neverland one. That I thought that would have been a good choice as well, but we went with Road Twice Traveled, and I think that's gonna be a biggie for us on our push goal. I'm hoping anyway.
I certainly hope so. I shared it on my Facebook page today, Rob. Let people know you were doing that, only because that is still one of the finest books I think we've ever published in our history with Airship 27. I'm very proud of that book,
Yeah,
and I
it's a
really,
great
really
book.
want more people to find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's as we say, we both teared up at different places in that book.
Oh,
It is kind of a tearjerker, even for
yeah.
old farts like us. So
Brilliantly written.
yeah,
Trust
very
me.
well written.
I've shared it with friends and family, Rob, and they absolutely loved it. They couldn't believe us pulp people who are putting out these kind of books. Okay.
Yeah, but with
Hey, no,
Star,
quality's
we'll
quality.
publish it.
Quality's quality. That's what this is about.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So I
And
guess
then for yours truly, two things that I
okay.
want to
Go ahead.
talk about. First one is comics, obviously, and that about a month ago, our good friend, artist from Kentucky, Mike Belcher,
Yes.
hit me up with writing a new Black Bat comic book. Well, I like the idea because I love Mike's golden age style of drawing. All
Mhm.
right. If you've ever seen this stuff, folks, and please go find him online, Google him, Michael W. Belcher. But Mike draws a very sophisticated, simplistic style of art that harkens back to the days of the factory jobs in New York with Jack Kirby and the rest of all those people, where one person did a pencil, gave it to somebody else who did the inks and whatever. And the art was meant to be bare bones, stylistic, move it on, move it on, move it on.
Minimalist.
Right.
Minimalist. Yep.
So Mike has somehow mastered that style of drawing. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at. And his young college age son Aiden does the coloring. The work is through the roof. So here he is asking me if I'd like to write a Black Bat comic book project with him. And in the course of a video going back and forth, I started saying, "You really want to do that?" And he went, "Yeah, now I'm imagining what this is going to look like in my head." And I'm loving that imagination. Till I finally said, well, what if we did his origin? Because there have been other projects that I've been involved with, Moonstone or whatever, that we've done Black Bat comic adventures, but nobody's tackled the origin. Well, that was it. Mike was like, yeah, please write the origin. I went as far as to get a hold of our buddy Mike Chomko and get a reprint of the first Black Bat book ever and read that for inspiration. Although we then learned that you can't adapt that book as is. But hey, different media. So we pull what we can from inspiration, and that's how we label this. Well, I started writing and writing and writing and got back to Mike and said, "Mike, this is going to take a while, you know." And Mike was like, "Well, whatever. Just tell the story. I don't care how long it takes. Please just finish, write it up." 104-page script. Oh yeah. And he still wants to do it.
To do the whole thing.
Yeah, we haven't decided. We're either going to go with Amazon or maybe even go to Kablam. I don't know. Aiden is coloring it. It's going to be full color. It's not going to be cheap when it's done. All right.
Yeah.
Mike's given some thought to maybe hitting some of our artist friends to do bonus pinups for the back of the book and whatever. But let me tell you, okay, I had a blast writing this, Rob. It was so much fun. I love these characters. I've dealt with them so many times in other projects, both in prose with you, and again, that previous Black Bat comic I did for Joe Gentile last year. So to get back and now tell the real story of Tony Quinn and how he loses his eyes, and it's all there. This is the origin. This is the tale.
Cool.
And I think it's going to be something special when we're done. Okay, so Mike's got that. And the second thing I wanted to talk about real quick is that about 2 years ago, before COVID struck, I had been invited by a British radio program to write a short radio play for them. All right, in the vein of Twilight Zone, not to last more than 12 minutes. All right. And this thing would be fully recorded. And basically, it's going to be a new series that'll appear on the internet. It's an internet radio program that will be titled On Another Wavelength. And myself and 19 other writers were approached. And we had our scripts all turned in before COVID, and COVID shut everything down. So at the end of last year, I received a letter contact from the producer, a gentleman named Simon Collier, who basically said, "We're coming back, hang in there, we're going to get this done." And about 2 weeks ago, I got online one day and there was an MP3 file of my little story, which runs all of 7 minutes and 12 seconds.
Cool.
I listened to that thing and I about fell out of my chair. The production values are brilliant. They're beautiful. The story is called The Night Army. And I'm just letting all my fans know that as soon as On Another Wavelength premieres, which should be within another 2 months online, I'll let everybody know. I'll send you links to where you can find these things. They're going to make some of the shows available for free to whet people's appetites a little bit about, hey, maybe you might want to subscribe to this.
Samples
first.
first.
And get all 20. And listen, if the quality on the other 19 is as good as what they did with my little story, this is brilliant radio work. I'm thrilled. I always loved old time radio, Rob, and to be a part of this, even this small way, excites me. To when I was a kid listening to this thing again, it was brilliantly done. So that's what I'm about. And if there is nothing else, I think we're at that point in the show with your joke, my friend.
Here we go. It's my turn. All right. My son works in an assisted living facility. So I ran across this story, and supposedly it's a true story. Now, I don't know if it is for sure. Once you hear it, you can go, yeah, I could see that actually happening, but it sounds a little outlandish. So anyway, this is something that happened at an assisted living center. The people who live there have small apartments, but they all eat at the central cafeteria. One morning, one of the residents didn't show up for breakfast. So my wife went upstairs and knocked on his door to see if everything was okay. She could hear him through the door, and he said that he was running late and would be down shortly, so she went back to the dining area. An hour later, he still hadn't arrived, so she went back up towards his room, and she found him on the stairs. He was coming the stairs, but was a hell of a time. He had a death grip on the handrail and seemed to be having trouble getting his legs to work right. So she told him she was going to call an ambulance, but he told her no. He wasn't in any pain and just wanted to have his breakfast. So she helped him the rest of the way down the stairs, and he had his breakfast. When he tried to return to his room, he was completely unable to get up, even the first step. So they called an ambulance for him. A couple of hours later, she called the hospital to see how he was doing. The receptionist there said he was fine. He just had both of his legs and one leg of his boxer shorts.
Oh, that's bad. Oh.
I don't know if that's a true story or not, but either way, it's
Hey,
funny.
Look, hey, we're someday, amigo, that's going to be you and me. You realize that, don't you? See that coming, right? I mean, after the last few days you and I have had, I definitely can see that coming. All right.
Oh, gee, yes. All right. Well,
aging. It's so much fun.
Now that we've regaled you for what it looks like about 42 minutes, it's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, we're going to show you some mercy and let you escape early this month. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and sign off, Rob.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for number 73 in a long line of craziness. This is your chief engineer, Rob Davis, signing off.
And as ever, Captain Ron's only too happy to say, down ship.